I'm here with Rick Mundy, and he is a watercolor artist. He's going to be sharing with us a little bit about his artwork here today.
Thank you. These two pieces here happen to be my Bali scenes, Bali 1 and Bali 2. We had gone to Bali, and my wife and I spent 3 full weeks there. I wanted something really, really strong and powerful. I was never, ever before influenced by red, solid red sky, and I just wanted to break the mold and just do
very
something
different. Very different. Do you usually work with a series, or?
Yes, I do. I can't help it. It's the most natural thing is to do diptychs and triptychs.
Okay.
Every time I do one painting, it just seems to me that the painting has a partner that needs to be created.
Okay.
And it's very difficult for me to actually paint just one picture. So I have 2 or I have 3 going. My record is 9. I have a Chelsea series of 9.
Oh, wow.
Which runs 20 feet long. And I rarely have a chance to show it because it's so large.
Because it takes up so much room, exactly. Well, with this limited space, you do have quite a selection of different photos, or watercolors, excuse me. How long have you been involved with this event?
I've been painting my whole life. The first money I ever won was when I was in grammar school in Babylon, and the Chamber of Commerce would hire the kids at Halloween to keep us out of trouble, and we would paint storefronts with poster paint.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And I won $55.
So it took off from there, and now you just have this career.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. And you said that earlier, you mentioned to me that you've been involved with this event here in Montauk for almost since the beginning.
Yes, except for the first year. We've been very pleased with the Montauk Artists Association. It's a very fine group of artists, and they have a banquet also.
Oh, do they?
Tonight.
Tonight.
For the artists. And we just love coming back and meeting people from out of state, from other countries. And
it's nice. They do bring in a really great crowd here in Montauk to look at your artwork. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And have fun at the I'm here with Peter Robinson Smith. He is a screen mesh artist.
Wire mesh sculptor, yes.
Wire mesh sculpture. And he is actually mending a piece right now. Can you explain to us a little bit about how this works?
Well, let's see, where do I begin? I work freehand using just my fingers and fingernails. I work with about 7 different types of mesh. I got the idea a few years ago from working with children for 17 years, ironically enough, even though for 10 years I taught landscape watercolor painting to adults. But always working with adults was always like pulling teeth. With kids it was always very inspiring. And anyway, I'm working with 7 different types. We used to make masks with mesh. And one thing led to another. That's what I'm doing. I look upon these as very serious forms of sketching. Sort of like new contemporary form. I'm only one of, I don't know, what I'm told anyway, maybe 15 people on the entire planet who do work with mesh.
Yes.
But none of us are doing the same thing because our evolution came differently from one another. And when I say sketches, I'm actually spending, if you could look closely in the mesh, there is a grid, a natural grid. And in sketching, there is a vital aspect of sketching to get depth of field, which is called cross-hatching, and that's what gives you your depth of field. So I'm spending 90% of my time taking the natural grid, and I'm assimilating the cross-hatch, and that's how I evoke my images. You can go up to the sky, and you can see her face.
Yes, you can really make out the face. And now a lot of this has to do with the shadow too, which is casted on the
shadow
wall.
Becomes the actual sketch. That's right, and the shadows on these become the sketch. As a matter of fact, I can show you this one right here. If you look, what happens, see?
She's moving.
There's the sketch right there behind it. And again, I do them all freehand. Of course, I did study quite a bit of human anatomy, so it helps to know the body as well.
To understand the body, yes.
And I had a very deep connection as a kid with horses, so that's why I ended up doing horses as well. I'm really connected with horses from my childhood. And
it's neat. And here you actually have the horse in different motion.
Yeah, this is a triptych, which means it's 3. Some people have come along, and the reason I put that up is because people come along, can I buy one of those? And I have to put the point across. It's a theme. It's called Wild Horses. It's one theme. So, and then I work with 7 different types of mesh. One of them is the common ordinary window and door screening, which, again, this is a form that I actually taught myself by way of the inspiration of children. And I work with 7 different types of mesh, and with the exception of ordinary window and door screening, I buy most of it up online. It's industrial mesh. And the highest grade, of course, is copper, the high-end copper, like my big horse out here. I don't know if you saw the horse.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We saw that earlier.
Yeah.
Now, if someone were to want to buy a piece or purchase a piece.
I do not have a website because I tried it and people don't understand the dimensional
aspect. It's a hard
of
concept,
It
right?
is, to understand. So I gave up, but I do have an email which is hiddendrives@yahoo.com, like the
hidden drives,
like the country sign.
So this is in fact one of your favorite pieces.
That one right there is.
This is one of your favorite pieces as well.
This is an homage to Paul Gauguin, who was one of my favorites at one point. And you can see the face where it comes into line. This is a friend of mine, actually. Her name is Dinah, and she actually is Polynesian, so it's appropriate.
I'm here with Michael Patterson. He actually made the cover of Dan's newspaper this week.
Oh, it was last week.
Last week, okay. Well, tell me a little bit about your artwork and your style of painting here.
Well, I've been painting forever. My grandfather was a painter, so I've been doing that for quite a while. And now I've been painting people in my work a lot. Seems to be that that's the most interesting for me now. And of course, the beach is a place where people are sort of natural, sitting on the ground and in nature. And so to me, it's a perfect place to paint people digging in the sand or just sort of looking up at the sky. And so that they have that as a subject, and then my style, I guess, is a little bit blocky, a little bit cubist, a little bit about the shapes between the figures as well as the figures themselves. So, it's the flattening out of the shapes a little bit, but sort of I compose them from a lot of my sketches and drawings that I've done through the years, working on the beach, painting watercolors on the beach, and then I'll just take those and sort of composite them into these paintings. So
do you find yourself working more from actually being in the environment of the beach, or do you favor the sketches and the photographs?
I favor my sketches now. I always paint on location when I'm at the beach. I paint my watercolors and sketches, and then from those I make my bigger paintings. But
can you tell me about the tools or the palette that you've chosen for these?
Yeah, I've brightened up the palette a lot. I mean, they're very, very bright. To me, I'm very interested in the shapes between, like these little triangles here, or these little triangles here, or these little shapes that gather, triangle here and a triangle here. These other shapes other than the figures themselves. These passageways, I call them like passageways, through behind the figures, like these little windows through. And here again, these triangles, these shapes interest me. These, as well as the figures.
Yes.
I try to have these secondary.
Now, to achieve this blocky type structure, do you use a specific brush or a specific tool?
Not really. No special brushes other than just brushes that that work for me in my particular style. They're not they're not special. But I draw them out, and I take a lot of time in composing them. Really, before I even start the painting, I just sort of block them in and change them quite a lot until I feel
the layout.
It works. The layout of the piece, yeah.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's very creative, and I'm
so much.
very happy to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm here with Yoram Gull. He's a watercolor artist, and he's going to be telling us a little bit about his work. Fill me in on some of the pieces that you favor here in your booth.
I don't favor any of them.
You don't favor any of them?
Children.
Oh, they're all your children. Okay, well, let's talk about the tools that you use and the palette that you've chosen.
Well, the latest ones, maybe I'll talk about some latest ones. So, like the one behind over here.
Yes.
There's watercolor and acrylic and gouache and all water-based colors on canvas, which is something I just started doing about 2 years ago.
Do you always paint on a stretched canvas, or?
No. Mostly I painted on paper like this.
Okay.
And the paper paintings that I've been doing, painting watercolors for 43 years. But I only learned about canvases about 2 years ago, so I started doing canvases, but watercolor on canvas is quite new with this special gesso and everything.
So did you study? You said you've been painting for a very long time. Did you study, go to a university, or it's just a natural talent?
I went to university. I studied theater and cinema, but I decided not to study painting. At the age of 15, I passed exams in England to go to art college, but I didn't want to spoil my spontaneity. So I only look at painters, the masters, and paint. That's all. At 15, I decided to stop studying. I had a teacher for 3 years in school, that's it. And it proves to be a big advantage that I am not infected with all kinds of isms
Not
and
limited.
what you're supposed to do or what you're not supposed to do. So I get everything wrong instead of getting it right, and it works.
It works for you. So tell me how you heard about the event here in Montauk.
Through the Art Fair Source book. It's a book that is like a Bible of all the shows in America. Last year, I was here last year, and I was awarded, so I came back automatically. And I had a great show, and I already am having a great one here. It's because it's a small place, but it's very full of New York people, which, for me, it's always New York, San Francisco, Chicago, big cities that people appreciate my work.
And I think you'll find out here on the eastern end of Long Island there's a large artistic community as well. So they tend to enjoy these events. So thank you so much for being here, and we're pleased to have you back, and we hope to see you next year.
Thank you.
I'm here with Don Nichols. He has a very unique medium that he has used today, displaying in his booth. Can you tell us a little bit about the technology that's used and how you've come up with this idea?
Yes, this is a combination of stained glass and natural seashells. Primarily I use the shell called the Nautilus shell. It's polished. In nature it has brown stripes on it. This is dipped in acid and polished. And I get the shell triple cut, so you get a front, a back, and this beautiful center slice.
Yes.
It's leaded and set into stained glass, and what's called the Tiffany copper foil method.
Yes.
And it's like any stained glass panel, but you get the 3D look of the seashells as well.
And it fits out here in Montauk with the beach and the little hamlet by the sea. This works terrific.
I'd have to say it's perfect.
So this is your invention, correct?
Pretty much,
Yes.
yes. I started picking up beach glass and setting beach glass and shells into lamps, and then I found a distributor for shells and was able to go on to these beautiful Nautilus shells.
Have you been at this event in previous years, or is
Yeah,
this
this
your
is
first
my fourth
time?
year.
Fourth year attending, terrific. And how is the crowd holding up today? Is it
Fabulous.
responsive?
Yes,
Good.
we're having a nice show after the
I have
terrible
an understanding that there are some pieces that are weatherproof and can be out in the garden, and there are others that should really stay in your home.
Yeah, well, some of them I have starfish set into them, and they will disintegrate if they get wet over and over again. But obviously for the rest of them, the shells is no problem with water.
Right. Now, when viewers would like to contact you about your artwork, is there a website that you have or a gallery that they can find you
Yes,
at?
I have a studio in Port Jeff Station, Nichols Stained Glass on Halleck Avenue, and our website is nichglass.com.
Perfect. Simple enough. Well, thank you so much. I'm here with Bill Kinney, who works with photography on a stretched canvas. Can you tell us a little bit about your pieces? I see that they're all very landscape-oriented.
Yeah, primarily I'm a seascape photographer, and these are shot with large format cameras, and then it's shot on film, then they're scanned digitally, drum scanned, and they're printed. These are called sheet clay prints, and there they are.
How long have you been working in this field?
About 15 years.
15 years. Did you study at a university, or is this
Oh, no, I had an
strictly
uncle who was a photographer that I studied with him.
Okay, so a little apprenticeship with him. That's terrific. So tell me, are these all from Long Island? Where
Most
are they
of them
from?
are from the island. But you know what? I don't tell people where they are because people have special places in mind that they would like them to be. So why spoil it for them?
Absolutely. They can make their own story. Now, is this your first year at this event?
This is my third year.
Third year. Terrific.
This is
How did you hear about the association?
Well, I have Montauk posters out. So I think maybe 8 years ago I tried it, and we did very well.
Yes. Good. Well, we're so happy to have you here. Your landscapes are beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Seascapes. I'm here with Alfonso, and he is a very unique artist. He works with aluminum and has pigments on them. Pure pigment. Can you tell me a little bit about your artwork?
I'm making an aluminum canvas. I weld it up. It's kind of like a sculpture.
Yes.
And then I heat it up to like 1100 degrees, and I apply one layer of pigment, probably white or light blue, and then I build it up from there, and I do hundreds of layers of it. And after 3, 4, 5 weeks, sometimes 3 or 4 months, I crystallize all the pigments together, and it
Yes.
becomes very brilliant and shiny.
So it's a very long process. It's three
Yeah.
3 months or so.
The bigger ones take like 9 months.
Wow. So it's a lot of your time. And these are durable outside, and they look beautiful in your home as well. Correct.
Yeah, I made them for inside, but people kept asking, can they be outside? And I tried it a few times, like, they're okay outside.
Yeah,
But,
I'm sure they look very nice in a garden.
yeah.
Now tell me, is this the medium that you have always worked in, or is this something new that you're trying?
No, I've worked on it for 10 years. Before I used to work on stainless steel. I
Okay.
used to do public art projects.
So always sort of a metal
Yeah, I'm a
type.
metal guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's phenomenal. Now, is this your first year competing or participating, I should say,
Yeah,
at
it
this
is,
year's
it
event?
is. Yes.
How did you hear about it?
A friend of mine does Art Monk. It's another show in New York, and he said, "Oh, you should try this Montauk show." I was
Yeah.
like, "Where is it?" And I'd never been to Long Island before.
So can you tell us your interpretation of this piece here, or maybe what your clients have seen in it?
So this piece is called Home in the Universe. It's a different kind of piece for me. Most of this piece has lapis lazuli pigment, which is a blue pigment that is found only in northern Afghanistan.
Oh.
So it has 1,800 layers of that blue to create that other blue. It's actually
Wow.
very dark blue when you first start, and when you build it up, it gets lighter.
How long did this piece take you?
This one took me a year. I started in 2005. It took me a year and a half of work
Yes.
to finish it. And as I said, I think it has 1,900 layers.
Wow.
And then I crystallized it like 4 or 5 weeks ago, which crystallizes that sheen.
It's the shiny texture
it's a
on the
stream
surface there.
heat, and then I cool it down very quick. So lapis lazuli is the oldest blue in the world, really. When they were making the 16 chapels, he waited 6 years for his lapis to finish
Wow.
it. Yeah, so it's a very important color. Since they found lapis lazuli, ultramarine, which is like cobalt blue.
Yes.
Cobalt blue is called cobalt because it comes from cobalt. You know, cobalt,
Mm-hmm.
Afghanistan. So that's also where that other blue comes
So
from.
it's must be pretty rare then. Now.
It's really rare, and it's really hard to get
Mm-hmm.
now, especially. You know, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'm here with Joyce Stratton. She actually grew up in Montauk and now has found her way back to be with us today at this event. Can you tell us a little bit about your work? It's a little abstract.
It is abstract, but based on a word or a phrase. It's all about a concept. Painting an idea is what I do. Yeah.
And you paint on wood
I paint on
surfaces.
wood, mixed media, acrylic, graphite, unbleached mulberry paper that I stain with tea and dirty paint water.
Very creative. And you told me before that this is your first year at this
is.
year's event.
It is.
And you do have a list of other
I do
events that you
12
participate
shows a
in.
year: Philadelphia, Bethesda, Maryland, Alexandria, Atlanta, pretty much on the East Coast.
Any other local events that we can see you at on Long Island?
Not on Long Island, but I'm doing the Bruce Museum show in Greenwich, Connecticut in October.
Terrific. Can you go through the process a little bit of how it looks like there's some layers involved? with
Many
your-
layers,
with your artwork?
probably 15 in a painting. Starts out with a gesso layer, gessoed, then layers of mulberry paper, then layers of paint, a lot of line work, and then covering up and revealing. It's a constant subtraction and addition process.
Well, thank you so much. It's beautiful and quite creative, so we appreciate you being here today.
Thank you very much.
Now here you have a set, it looks like a tea set that is a little bit different than your other pieces. Can you elaborate on why you've chosen the font or the lines, incorporated those into your piece?
Certain, it's Korean, ancient Korean language, and it's very architectural. I like line and calligraphy, and that uses both. And they're constructed with the mulberry paper, almost the way you would make pottery. And I want that look of pottery with the paint and the mulberry paper.
Yes. Now, if someone were to want to contact you about getting a piece of your work, can they go to a website or do you have a gallery?
Website, I've got an email address and my website, joystratton.com.
joystratton.com. Okay, thank you so much. I'm here with T-Bone. He is a local artist from out here on the eastern end of Long Island. He has a unique process for his artwork, and he's going to elaborate for us on the tools he uses and his methods.
Well, I'm very into printmaking, as she said. All of my stuff I carve out of both linoleum block, rubber block prints, and I do also wood block carvings. which I roll ink onto and then press onto both paper.
Do you have any other mediums that you work with?
Also, I collect, this is all driftwood from over in West Hampton, right around Murch's Inlet, that I end up painting onto. I frame it with snow fence from all local. Same thing with this one over here.
Right.
All local materials.
Because those fences, they end up falling down anyway, so they're just lying on the beach. It's good to pick them up
All over
and
the place.
do something useful with them.
Yes.
I'm here with William Lercott, and he has beautiful works here in his booth, and he's going to tell us a little bit about them. What kind of palette have you chosen? What type of work do you do?
Well, I work with soft pastels and also in oils.
Okay.
And the thing that differentiates my work from a lot of people is that I use very strong color.
Yes. Very
And
vibrant.
I juxtapose cool and warm colors together and try to express how I feel about a location versus trying to photographically re-represent it
Okay.
in painting.
Now, I've asked a couple other artists this today, and everyone seems to have a different approach. Do you tend to be in the field with the landscapes, or do you like to work from a photograph or a sketch? How do you go about your paintings?
Well, I'll do small sketches in plein air, in small paintings. I can't work this large, though,
Right.
because the light changes in about 10 minutes.
Right, right.
So in that case, I do use reference photos, and I actually make verbal notes as to the colors and the different things in the
Shadows
paintings.
and
Right.
things like that. Well, that's good. So you do spend some of your time preparing out in the field.
Oh, a lot.
A lot of your time. Good. And now, is this your first year at this event?
It is.
It is? And how is it going so far?
It's going good. People have only thrown small objects at me.
But all in all, they've been very
Oh, yeah,
responsive to the
it's been
paintings.
great.
Good. And we hope to see you back here next year. Now, do you have a local gallery or a website that we can reach you at?
Lercottstudios.com is a website, and my galleries right now are in Aspen and Park City and also in Florida.
Okay. And now, can we go to some of these paintings here, and can you just tell us about the tools that you used?
Sure.
You know, to get the textures and the right look that you were going for.
Sure.
Select anyone that you would like.
Okay, well, my work begins with underpainting. It's a classic French sort of a style underpainting, and I go on top of that with many layers of color. In the case of the pastels, I use a dry pigment, which is just pure color, and then I go on top of, I use my hands and fingers to blend that. I go on top of that with layers of pastel.
So, do you find yourself adding like additives to the paint to have them dry a certain way, or it's pretty straightforward
Pretty straight up. I don't use too much medium
with your work?
Right.
Okay, well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here, and you have a beautiful booth. I hope everyone enjoys it today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time. Which one? This one up here?
This one up here.
So you might want to tell us a little bit about that. So here we have a local piece that was done, and the artist is going to be sharing with us a little bit about the work.
This piece was in March last year in East Hampton, and the daffodils had come up, but there were no flower heads yet. And in fact, there was very little green at all in the woods. But the twigs or whatever were just a magenta, and just kind of captured me. It was such a strange color. This is about 5:30 in the morning.
Wow. The artist is up early. Now, most of your pieces that you have in the booth today are local or from different parts of...
Different parts of the country.
Of the
I
country.
travel around the country. And so some are from Florida, some are from Colorado, Michigan, London.
Right. London. Oh, okay.
Great
Fabulous. So
Lakes.
all around. Well, it's a beautiful collection.
Well,
Thank you
very
so much.
Thanks for visiting.
I'm here with Raza from Lithuania. She came all this way to Montauk. Tell me, how did you hear about this event out here?
Actually, this is my second year here. Word of mouth?
Word of mouth. Just
Yeah.
another friend told a friend, and here you are. Now, she does photography, and here we have 3 examples of her work. One is printed on paper. One is on
Acetate?
a transparency material, and one is printed on wood. So can you go through why you've chosen to do different images on different...
Yeah, I got your question. Actually, I like to play with my images and use different surfaces. You know, on wood it gives you different dimension, you know, and I just want to play with it.
Yes, and I see that you've chosen organic, kind of everyday images. Why have you chosen to do that?
That's what is close to me.
Yes, it's what you know. It's simple.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrific. Well, we thank you so much for being here. We're so happy to have people from all over the world participating in today's event. Here we have a bird's nest, which is printed on acetate, which is really an old school, a very historic way of printing. It's transparent, as you can see, translucid, and quite a unique way of printing a photograph. Raza has done this as well as printing on wood and canvas. She really displays her images well in different mediums, different forms. I'm here with John Mobiro. He's going to explain a little bit about his work. He works with oil on canvas.
Yes.
Can you please describe some of the scenes that you've chosen?
Okay, I'm originally from East Africa, Uganda, and most of the work I do is from there. I lived a lot in Kenya, and I do a lot of work about Maasai and other warrior tribes in East Africa.
Yes, it's very interesting.
Yes.
So you've brought those ideas into your work here today.
Yes, I brought my ideas into my work.
And the one behind us is a little abstract. Do you have an interpretation for it, or?
Yes, that's the water carriers. Those are East African women carrying water from the well.
Very interesting. Now, what have you done to achieve the texture in this?
I use a lot of oil and a lot of gesso, and that gives it a lot of body.
A lot of body, a little more thick than some other.
Yes.
And the palette that you've chosen, the colors?
Okay, most of the East African colors are like earth colors, and I was trained more in earth colors, so a lot of my paintings are more inclined towards the type of colors you see on most of them. Yes.
And is this your first year competing or participating, I should say, in this year's event?
Yes, it's my first year, yeah.
And how's it going so far?
Good.
Yeah.
Yes,
you have a beautiful spot here, a lot of attention to your booth.
Yes.
Now tell me, let's move to a couple of your others that are a little different and a little lighter in color.
Okay, this one is Lake Victoria. There was a sailboat on the lake. I grew up on Lake Victoria. That's like in the middle of East Africa.
Yes.
It's like, in our language, it's like the god of the land. So like a lot of people, like it's something that you have to paint.
And it's something that you know very well. Now,
yes.
did you paint this from a memory that you had, or were you actually sitting and observing?
Yeah, I go back home a lot and paint over there. I do sketches, then I come back and I put them on canvas or on board, or I do some of them at home, yes.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And if anyone wanted to get in touch with you about some of your work, do you have a website or a gallery?
Yes, I have a website.
And what is that?
oils@mobiruart.com.
Oils?
At mobiruart.com.
Okay, fabulous. So here we have the longhorns. Can you elaborate a little bit on this painting?
Yeah, these are longhorns are from Uganda. They are cattle, and a lot of them have long horns. I made them in a circle to symbolize more like the sunset. And a lot of tribes, like nomadic tribes in East Africa, are more dependent on cattle. That's where that idea came from for those.
They're very dependent on them for food. And
for food, for milk, and for nutritional. Yeah.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Okay, those are Maasai warriors. I call it the warrior stance. A lot of times they go out like to check out the neighborhood to see if there's any lions or other people invading their space. Nowadays they're more like they're trying to be more pastoral, but back in the days they used to roam a lot of range, but now development has taken over, so they stay in particular areas. Okay, those are Maasai warriors dancing. They normally dance in a jumping up and down motion. The higher the most warrior jumps, the more honor he gets, and sometimes they jump up to 5 to 6 feet. Okay, those are women from eastern Uganda. I did that one as an abstract. It has no particular, I saw the women going to the market and I painted that.
Thank you for joining WVVH and the Montauk Artists Association. It is wonderful to know that artists from around the world come to our community here in Montauk to showcase their work.
Thank you for joining us. We're the third weekend in August every year, and we hope to see you next year.
For the 14th annual. See you then.